Welcome back to The Explainer. Look, if you've been feeling totally overwhelmed by the constant noise of modern life, the endless analyzing, the sheer exhaustion of overthinking every single move you make, then you are exactly where you need to be right now. Today, we're taking a deeply meditative journey to kind of cure that modern mental fatigue. We're going to unpack and analyze a truly profound piece of spiritual poetry that explores the path of the heart. We'll be navigating through some incredibly rich, abstract ideas, really breaking down how ancient wisdom suggests we find ultimate peace. It's essentially a journey about silencing the mind to awaken something much, much greater.
Okay, let's dive right into this incredibly powerful opening thought. The source text immediately challenges our everyday way of operating. It tells us that to reach true heights, like to actually touch the spiritual skies, a person must rely entirely on the heart. It immediately asks us to just leave pure logic behind. Think about how counterintuitive that is to how we're taught to live today, right? We're taught to calculate, to measure, to rationalize everything. But this text suggests that the absolute highest elevations of human experience and spiritual understanding simply can't be accessed with a spreadsheet or a pros and cons list. You literally need an entirely different vehicle to get there.
And that brings us to the first major phase of our seeker's arc, the journey beyond intellect, where logic ends. I have to ask you, how often do you try to just logic your way through life's biggest, most existential questions? It rarely works, does it? The source highlights this perfectly by drawing a stark contrast. It states that Akal, our intellect and rational mind, eventually hits a hard limit and just stops. It freezes up. It literally cannot process the infinite. But on the flip side of this comparison, we have the heart, driven by ishq, which is a profound devotion. And this doesn't just keep going, it actually gives the traveler a brand new identity and reveals the ultimate destination. The heart acts as the true, unerring guide for when the mind has entirely run out of answers.
So what exactly is the driving force of this unerring guide? Let's move into Section 2, Ishq, a new identity more than worldly romance.
Now, what's really interesting here is how this concept completely shatters our modern, everyday understanding of the word ishq. Usually, we translate this as just romantic love, but the source material recontextualizes love into a profound, all-consuming devotion. Ishq isn't just a fleeting emotion here. It's the spiritual guide itself. It becomes the traveler's personal prayer, their absolute sacred language. The text actually notes that where this profound love exists, well, that is exactly where the home of the divine is found. It's this space of absolute peace, a place where you have to completely forget yourself, forget your ego, forget your logic, to truly find that peace.
Let's see how this builds into an overwhelming everyday experience. Because this devotion isn't some empty, abstract theory, right? It's highly tangible within the poetry. The text outlines very clear signs of this divine presence once ishq is embraced. It fills literally every breath and every single atom of existence. You have a divine light that accompanies your every single step on the journey. You have the mark, or the sign of the divine, living inside every single heartbeat. And perhaps most beautifully, the divine forms your very identity in every breath you take. It's this illuminating presence that turns the mundane, everyday rhythm of human biology into a constant spiritual connection.
As we continue our exploration, we hit a really critical part of the journey. Section 3. The heart's own light, navigating the dark.
Picture a traveler walking down a terrifying pitch-black path. Ordinarily, darkness brings fear, it brings confusion, but the source crafts this beautiful meta-narrative. If there's light already lit inside the heart, the way home is effortlessly found. The inner spiritual light is described as being so overwhelmingly powerful that it changes the very nature of the obstacles outside. It says that every darkness smiles and fades away. Just think about that. The darkness doesn't just disappear, it smiles. It submits joyfully to the light of the heart. The inner reality completely dictates and transforms the external reality.
Let's shift our focus and ground this just a bit more. Moving on to Section 4, My Journey, My Decision, The Solitary Choice. So the crucial point here is how this specific line grounds all that soaring, abstract poetry right back into your own daily reality. It reminds us that while the destination is this grand merging with the infinite, the actual act of walking the path is deeply individual. This journey is mine, the decision is mine. You might be surrounded by peers, family, society, many people walking along in the world with you, but this level of spiritual devotion is ultimately a solitary personal choice. You really can't outsource your spiritual awakening. It's an active, conscious decision you have to make for yourself.
And now we're reaching the true culmination of the Seeker's Arc. Section 5, From Drop to Ocean, the ultimate transformation.
This brilliantly illustrates the sheer, shattering power of this devotion. When the heart takes the divine's name, every wall falls down. We all have walls, right? We have internal mental barriers, our fears, our rigid logical structures, our anxieties, and of course we have external obstacles that block our path. The text posits that a true connection of the heart doesn't just climb over these walls or, find a clever way around them. It causes them to collapse entirely. The devotion itself is a mechanism for total liberation. Look at this punchy, incredibly powerful metaphor straight from the text. Even a single drop of ishq becomes a limitless ocean. It totally defies all physical logic, which reinforces exactly what we established at the beginning about leaving the intellect behind. In the realm of the heart, quantity doesn't matter. Purity does. The tiniest fraction of true, authentic devotion has the capacity to expand into something entirely boundless. The drop doesn't just join the ocean. Through its pure devotion, it actually becomes the ocean.
Let's walk through the final progression of our traveler, mapped out perfectly right here. Step 1, the journey started from the heart. Step 2, after all the wandering and the shedding of the ego, the journey merged right back into the heart. And step 3, it was right there, in that merging, that the traveler finally found the divine. The source maps out a journey that loops beautifully back to its origin. You aren't traveling miles across the globe, you're traveling inward. You start at the heart and you end at the heart, but the transformation means you end in ultimate union with the divine.
As we bring this explainer toward its close, we have to analyze these absolutely beautiful, mystical paradoxes that conclude the source material. Eyes are closed, but everything is visible. The heart is silent, but the divine is singing. This is the absolute ultimate proof that the intellect has been left behind. By shutting down our physical senses, closing our eyes, silencing our loud, chattering minds, we awaken a true, overwhelming spiritual perception. When you stop trying to see, you finally see everything. And when your heart finally stops making noise, you hear the song of the divine.
We've unpacked an incredible journey today, from the limitations of the logical mind, through the solitary choice of devotion, straight to the ultimate realization that the universe exists within the silent heart. So I want to leave you with this final thought from today's explainer. Take a breath, step away from the noise of the day, and just ask yourself, when you close your eyes and truly silence your mind, what is your heart singing?